Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we're coming to you once again from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. And welcome to our special Halloween 2024 episode. We have some very special guests on today, as we have Lee Langford and my daughter Hannah Longon, who is dressed for Halloween as her dad, which means she looks like a dork. So we have a couple things planned today, and I'm going to throw this out there in their defense. I just recruited them literally 5 minutes before we started recording, so they have no idea what questions I'm going to ask or what we're going to do. So that's how we roll here on holidays at Gaston's Great. So as a special Halloween episode, we're going to go back in time. We're going to we got a few good, super scary stories to share. But I will start with Lee and Hannah, kind of a first question here. Can you go back and do you, either one of you, I'll start with you, Hannah, do you have any favorite Halloween memories or traditions that we may have done in the family, or anything that comes to mind?
We used to go to Grammy and Poppy's.
Yeah.
And
make sure they saw your costumes.
Yeah, before we went trick or treating, all of the grandkids. That was always fun, and there's funny pictures from that.
Oh yeah, there are some. We got those back when y'all were super small.
Yeah. And just probably trick or treating with Macy and Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we also had some of the neighbors would come over, right? The Eisenhooves and the Albrights would come over to the neighborhood because we had more volume of trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood than they did. Miss Langford, what about you? Anything come to mind? This could be with your kids now or when you were young, just a couple of years ago when you were young.
Yes, well, when I was young, my parents always made a big thing with Halloween, and we always had a big pot of chili, and my mom would make my costumes. And then there was a couple of, in the early 80s, they were the paper mask, with the elastic. So
that hurt your ears?
Great. Yes. And just the little opening for the mouth that was. But with my boys, we have always had fun, even till this year. I have a senior and an 8th grader, and they still dress up and get all into it.
Right.
And, so yeah, we definitely have fun with Halloween.
For your for the boys, do you recall a favorite costume that they had? I'm sure these were all homemade, right? These costumes that they
no.
were wearing?
Some of them are, like parts of them. My oldest, he's always with his friends gone in, and at church at youth, they have a Halloween, a costume competition. So he has won it 6 years in a row.
Wow.
With his friends, yes. And so they'll make like half of it. But he, just last night, he was Phineas and Ferb.
Ooh, what a terrific show.
But they've been Stranger Things group and
that's cool.
Minions group and Taylor and Travis last year. So I know. But
can we edit that out? Do you know what she's talking about when she says Taylor and Travis?
Oh, Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce, sorry.
Travis Swift and Taylor Swift. Actually, I'm kidding. I couldn't really care one way or the other. All right, so stand by. We've got some more questions coming. All right, but we're going to jump into my first super scary story. All right. This one's called Chiseling with Fear. Are y'all ready? All right. That excitement. I could just feel the excitement here. All right. 2 men were walking home after a Halloween party and decided to take a shortcut through the cemetery just for laughs. You should probably never take a shortcut through the cemetery. Right in the middle of the cemetery, they were startled by a tap, tap, tapping noise coming from the misty shadows. There's always misty shadows in cemeteries on Halloween. Did y'all know that? Trembling with fear, they found an old man with a hammer and chisel chipping away at one of the headstones. "Holy cow, mister," one of them said after catching his breath. "You scared us half to death. We thought you were a ghost. What are you doing working here so late at night?" "My family are such fools," the old man grumbled. "They misspelled my name, and here I have to correct it." Get it? See, he was correcting his name on the tombstone. So he really was a ghost. Amy, you get that? Amy's in the background because she refused to be on camera for today's episode, if you're curious. Okay, so that's a good one, wasn't it? All right. Hannah, favorite costume you've ever had or utilized or made or whatever on Halloween?
Favorite costume.
Besides, of course, what you have on today.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
today might
you
be
keep this one,
top
yeah.
3. But,
Yeah, I'm sure.
I was Hannah Montana one year, and Mom got me a wig and the headset and stuff. It looks
Hannah
really-
Montana. Gosh,
yeah.
she was huge back in the day, huh?
Yeah, that might be one of my favorite costumes, but also because it looks so funny because we didn't put my hair up or anything. I probably refused to. And so it's like half of the wig and half of my hair showing through.
And then we, of course, I think we used to call you that half the time anyway because it rhymed, right?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
You didn't like us calling you that? Yeah.
No, I told them at school they couldn't call me that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Did that just make it worse that more people called you that when, or?
I
Yes,
think
that's how kids used to act.
I think at that point I accepted it.
Okay.
But
Lee, what about you? Anything come to mind when you were a kid? Your favorite costume?
One year I was a witch. Just the traditional black hat.
That's
black-
what comes to mind.
Yeah, well, that's one that I remember having pictures of, seeing pictures of.
So were you a fan of a specific like witch from movies or The Wizard of Oz?
It would have been The
or
Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of
yeah,
Oz.
'cause that
So
would've
are
been-
y'all excited about Wicked coming out?
I'm really
Mhm.
excited.
Mm. Yeah, I can't wait. Do you even know what that is?
Really?
So Naomi's 0 for 2. And just for if you were wondering, her favorite, you're going to give her a good movie to watch as long as it has, what's his name in it? Ferrell? Will Ferrell? Will Ferrell's her favorite actor. All right, this is another good one. So we're going to continue with a quick story in between questions here. This one might be borderline inappropriate, but I'm going to read it anyway. This is called a cabbie and a nun. Okay, a cabbie and a nun. Again, these are legit. So, a cabbie picks up a nun on Halloween. She gets into the cab, and the cab driver won't stop staring at her. She asks him why is he staring. He replies, "I have a question to ask you, but I don't want to offend you." She answers, "My dear son, you can't offend me. When you're as old as I am and I've been a nun as long as I have, you get a chance to see and hear just about everything. I'm sure that there's nothing you could say or ask that I would find offensive. Well, I've always had a fantasy to have a nun kiss me." Sorry. She responds, "Well, let's see what we can do about that. Number 1, you have to be single, and number 2, you must be Catholic." The cab driver is very excited and says, "Yes, I am single and I am Catholic too." What are the odds? The nun says, "Okay, pull into this next alley." He does, and the nun gives him a kiss. But when they get back on the road, the cab driver starts crying. "My dear child," said the nun, "why are you crying?" "Forgive me, sister, but I have sinned. I lied. I must confess. I'm married and I'm Jewish."
Okay.
The nun says, "That's okay. I'm on my way to a Halloween party. My outfit is just an old habit."
Where do you find these?
I know.
You have to look pretty hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so, whew, that's a good one, huh? All right, next question is favorite scary movie?
Halloween.
The original Halloween,
Yeah,
not
that's
some
my
of these, not some of these remakes.
No, the original one.
Okay. Where did you learn to like the Halloween movie or movies?
I don't know, man. Maybe my dad. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Miss Langford, and you can't use Halloween
Oh,
because she
yeah.
already answered that. I'm sorry.
Um,
You can't repeat answers.
okay. Well, since I can't say Halloween, I'll say Scream.
Scream, the
Yeah,
the original.
Yeah, because when that came out, and it was just kind of a, yeah.
And it was a kind of a big deal for movie making because the biggest star,
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
sorry, it's This is going to be a, what do you call it when I ruin?
Spoiler.
Spoiler. Sorry. Spoiler if you've never seen it. Yeah. The biggest star probably, Drew Barrymore, gets it like in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was Wes Craven, too, I think.
I think
The original.
so.
How about the later ones? I've only seen like a couple. There's like 6 or 7 now. Is that
I've
right?
never seen any more of them. Just the
I
first one.
liked I haven't seen some of them like after the first one, but I've seen the newer couple. I liked them, but I don't know. I don't think they're as good as the first one, but they're pretty good for a remake.
Amy, favorite scary movie? I'm not going to let you off the hook completely.
I'm not like a big scary movie fan. Like
Okay, that has nothing to do with my question. She said she's not a big scary movie fan, and that's an unacceptable answer. We don't allow non-answers on Gas and the Great. You should know that.
I like true crime documentaries. So like, or okay, Scream. I don't know.
We're going to move on to Naomi since Amy didn't answer. Anything with Will Ferrell?
You're not gonna like my answer. I don't watch scary movies.
She said, if you couldn't hear, she doesn't watch scary movies, and that's basically what Amy said. Matter of fact, Amy even went so far to shift gears completely and said she likes true crime documentaries, which has nothing to do at all with my.
I highly recommend Bailey Sarian. She does a great job.
With what?
True crime.
True crime. Well, I didn't hear you though.
Bailey Sarian. You know who I'm talking
Bailey Sarian. Okay.
about. She does makeup and
So there's our
I don't
podcast
think I know
recommendation
who it
for
is.
today. All right. After that, we're going to go to another story. And I don't know what's with the nuns, but we've got another nun story here. This one, you might have seen this on the news, actually. This is 2 nuns and a mini Dracula. Okay, y'all ready for this one? This one is possibly just borderline inappropriate as well. 2 nuns, Sister Mary Agnes and Sister Mary Vincent, are traveling through Europe in their car, sightseeing in Transylvania. I mean, who sightsees in Transylvania? As they are stopped at a traffic light, out of nowhere, a small vampire jumps onto the hood of the car and hisses at them through the windshield. Quick, quick, shouts Sister Mary Agnes. What should we do? Turn the windshield wipers on. That will get rid of the abomination, says Sister Mary Vincent. You don't sound convinced that's going to work. No. Sister Mary Agnes switches on the wipers, which knock the mini Dracula around, but he hangs on and continues hissing at the nuns. What shall I do now? She shouts. Try the windshield washer. I filled it with holy water before we left the Vatican, replies Sister Mary Vincent. That's convenient to fill it with holy water before going to Transylvania. Sister Mary Agnes turns on the windshield washer. The vampire screams as the water burns his skin, but he hangs on and continues hissing at the nuns. Now what? Shouts Sister Mary Agnes. Show him your cross, says Sister Mary Vincent. Now you're talking, says Sister Mary Agnes. She then opens the window and shouts, get the hell off our car. Get it?
Yes.
Show him your cross. All right, we're going to continue right to the next story since I don't have any other questions written down. All right, this one is a bat story. You know, this is a Halloween theme, so we're talking about, nuns and bats. A vampire bat came flapping in from the night, covered in fresh blood, and parked himself on the roof of the cave to get some sleep. Pretty soon, all the other bats smelled the blood and began hassling him about where he got it. He told them to knock it off and let him get some sleep, but they persisted until finally he gave in. Okay, follow me, he said, and flew out of the cave with hundreds of bats behind him. Down through a valley they went, across a river and into a forest full of trees. Finally, he slowed down and all the other bats excitedly milled around him. Now, do you see that tree over there? He asked. Yes, 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 the bats all screamed in a frenzy. Good, said the first bat, because I didn't. You see, he had blood on him because he didn't see the tree, and his sonar apparently wasn't working very well. All right, a couple more things here, and we'll be mercifully, we will finish this special Halloween episode up. All right, this is super important. We got a top 10 or 11 list here. In case anyone has forgotten the rules for a safe and happy Halloween, here are the top 10 or 11 rules for a safe and happy Halloween, and you guys are welcome to comment on these, okay? First, When it appears that you have killed the monster, never, ever check to see if it's really dead. Is that
Yes,
That's
just
accurate?
keep running.
This one's pretty good here. Never read a book of demon summoning aloud, even as a joke. So you come across the Book of the Dead, don't read it. Evil Dead is a good one about that.
Yeah.
He opened it and shouldn't have read it. Nothing good happened after that. Do not search the basement, Naomi, especially if the power has gone out. Basement's bad. Basement's bad. All right, here's a good one for parents. If your children speak to you in Latin or any other language which they should not know, shoot them immediately. It will save you a lot of grief in the long run. However, it will probably take several rounds to kill them, so be prepared. This also applies to kids who speak with somebody else's voice. That one's good, actually.
It's a good one for parents.
If you have the benefit next, number 5, I'm sorry, I forgot to number these for you. Number 5, when you have the benefit of numbers, never pair off and go it alone.
That's classic.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Number 6, never stand in, on, or above a grave, tomb, or crypt. This would apply to any other house of the dead as well.
Circling
Right.
back to the graveyard.
That's correct. You might
Yeah.
you
Don't
might
go
find
through
somebody
there.
chiseling, correcting their misspelled name on their tomb. Number 7, if appliances start operating by themselves, do not check for short circuits. Just get out. That's probably good advice there. Number 8, if you find a town which looks deserted, there's probably a good reason for it. Don't stop and look around. I'm trying to think of one. Children of the Corn is probably a good one there. Yeah. When kids are running the place. That's not good. Oh, this is a good one, especially for the Halloween movies. Number 9, if you're running from the monster, expect to trip or fall down at least twice.
Mm-hmm.
Also note that despite the fact you are running and the monster is merely shambling along, it's still moving fast enough to catch up with you. Yeah, Michael Myers never goes fast, but
No,
he
he just
always
walks.
he's always catching up. All right, number 10. If your companions suddenly begin to exhibit uncharacteristic behavior such as hissing, fascination for blood, glowing eyes, increasing hairiness, and so on, kill them immediately. Okay, again, this is good Halloween and horror movie, I guess, maybe also rules to remember. And last, that's why I said top 10 or 11. Number 11, stay away from certain geographical locations, some of which are listed here. Amityville, Elm Street, Transylvania, the Bermuda Triangle, or any small town in Maine. Do you know why it's any
Sorry,
small town in
Maine.
Maine? That's Stephen King. Almost all of his stories are based in small towns in the state of Maine. So happen to be a fan of Stephen King, and so that's why I know that. So don't go to any small town in Maine, even though we have stopped in several small towns in Maine a couple
You
years ago.
have.
Yes, but it wasn't in October. It was in August, so we were safe. All right, we got one more story to share. Is there anything else these esteemed guests would like to share about Halloween besides?
The
If you can't
greatest
read it, too,
costume
her
ever.
yeah,
I'm Steven.
she has a name tag on that's looks like has been a post-it noted with my name on it. Yes, that's pretty good.
Like that show Goosebumps when I was younger.
Okay, Amy finally came up with something, and she stated the
Weren't you watching Beetlejuice the other day?
Beetlejuice and Goosebumps. I have seen Beetlejuice. I admit I have not seen Goosebumps.
Goosebumps was good. We
Was it?
watched. I mean, when we were growing up.
Is it based on books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked
Kids'
the books. One of
Okay.
them really scared me.
I lived in the deep end of a pool for years because there was like a Goosebump episode where there was an invisible shark in the deep end,
There was an invisible shark in the deep end of the pool.
and I wouldn't go to the deep end of the pool for years.
Yeah, that sounds
They made
that
some-
sounds
there's
like
some-
it could really happen.
There's some horror movie coming out about there being something in the pool.
Hmm. Interesting.
Maybe it's
Ring.
based off of.
The Ring.
Wasn't she in the pool in the ring? Didn't she?
I thought she came out of the well.
She came out of the well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's
creepy.
another-
Is that the
that's
one
a-
that came out of the television?
Yes.
Okay.
That's another one.
So, what about any classics movies or stories, books, scary books or movies that come that come to your mind besides Goosebumps?
Well, we were just talking about the historian.
The historian,
the other day.
yes. Kostova, is that her name? Elizabeth
Yeah, I
Kostova.
think
I'm
so.
not sure. I think that is the author.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. Are you over there Googling Hocus Pocus?
She's on it now.
I've never seen Hocus Pocus.
That's good.
Pocus either.
Yeah.
I'm a big Edgar Allan Poe fan and Stephen
Oh,
King
yeah.
fan, so
I'm reading The Shining right now.
Can't you stay in that
that is excellent.
hotel? Is that in Maine?
Yeah, no, it's in Colorado.
Colorado.
It's in
Yeah.
Estes Park. We stayed there.
We did stay there.
Yeah,
No.
and we did a ghost
The
tour.
Stanley-
No.
The Stanley Hotel.
Yeah. Rachel
Now, the
was
Stanley
not
Hotel-
pleased.
The Stanley Hotel is where he was when he wrote it,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then it's it's a haunted spot. But the movie was actually filmed elsewhere.
Mhm.
But yeah, the Stanley Hotel was cool, and they do have a. Matter of fact, they were just starting to build the maze
Yeah.
out front, and it was fun.
It
And
was
we
cool.
saw at least 20 ghosts when we were there, at least. Right.
Yeah.
But Edgar Allan Poe's got some great short stories too.
Mhm.
But we learned that they're probably inappropriate for Gaston's great.
Yeah, my youngest is doing Edgar Allan Poe right now in English.
Oh, yeah, he's cool.
And so that's been fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, The Telltale Heart,
Yeah.
Fall of the House of Usher, Mask of the Red Death. Gosh,
Oh, the House of Usher.
The Raven.
I have been to his grave in Baltimore.
have you really?
Hmm
At night or during the day?
No, during the day.
On Halloween or
And it kind of just sits right there on the, you just kind of walk by on the road and it's like, oh, there it is.
That's interesting.
didn't we go to his house
I
or
did-
something?
We didn't
Or
go to
not.
Edgar Allan
It
Poe.
was
I
like
don't think we went to Edgar Allan Poe's house, but I have been to a hotel in New York where he spent a lot of time, and there's a bunch of his memorabilia and pictures on the wall of him. I can't remember the name of that hotel though. I won't be in trouble. Guess who we stayed with there? The Eisenhuis.
Yeah.
It's on our way back from. Matter of fact, that might have been where we stayed on our way back from Paris when we saw the Killers in Paris. Okay, so this has been great. Well, we got one more really good story to finish up with. Unless there's any last words, Naomi, you have for us, since you haven't seen anything scary or never read anything scary, or have you ever been trick or treating? What about your favorite costume, or Halloween memories as a child?
The only one I can remember, not remember, but there's a picture of me in a big old plushy pumpkin outfit.
A pumpkin outfit.
That's the only one I can
Plushy,
remember.
is that the word you just said?
Yeah.
Plushy pumpkin outfit.
I
Okay.
was like 5 years old.
Hmm.
I was gonna say, but do you have a favorite
No,
Halloween memory?
I do not.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, I know.
When you-
When
you
like
have-
our Halloweens, I guess.
when you have the mic, I would think actually probably my favorite thing in the last 20 years especially is carving pumpkins with the kids.
Mm.
That's always fun. And even our Hannah's sister Rachel, who is off to college as a freshman this year, I think she asked her mother if we could get a pumpkin so when she comes home for Thanksgiving we could carve it
Aw.
because she's not here this Halloween. But Halloween has been, I have to admit, I enjoy Halloween. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of old pictures of me in the plastic
Mhm.
ones you're talking about with the elastic. Yeah, there were some interesting. I think I had a stormtrooper one back in the day from Star Wars.
Mhm.
So that was probably a memorable one for me. A little bit different now when you dress up as a stormtrooper. I mean, you actually look like a stormtrooper. I just look like a scary kid that, I don't know. Anyway, so again, I appreciate you indulging us on some of these Halloween. Oh, I know what. How about favorite Halloween candy that you get in your?
Mm,
Amy just yelled out Reese's.
mine's probably, I don't know, Kit Kat used to be or Skittles used to be my favorite, but I think I ate too many.
It cured you of Skittles and you ate too many stomach aches from
Yeah.
Skittles. Okay.
I like sour gummy.
Mm. Mhm.
I mean, they didn't really have that though when I was little.
Sour gummy. Yeah, that's actually.
Like Sour Patch Kids.
Am I the only person at our house that doesn't like gummies?
I mean, I like some of the sour ones, but they're not normally my go-to.
Yeah.
But
Not
it's
a
like
I'm not a
everyone
gummy
else's
fan for
favorite in
some
our
reason. I'm not
house.
sure it's the texture or something about the gummies.
Chocolate.
All right, when you were dressed up as a pumpkin, just any chocolate, nothing specific. Hershey's, Nestle Crunch, Dove chocolate,
I don't like Dove.
Oh,
dark chocolate or regular chocolate.
Not top chocolate.
Dark chocolate's the
it's
best.
the
It
best
is.
one.
Dark
It
chocolate's
is.
the best.
She's gonna edit that
All
out.
right, so since we've gone from, I'm sure by this point, 20 listeners down to, 1. This has gone on longer than I anticipated. So, one more story, which is really good. This is a good one. It doesn't even have a title, but it's good. Okay, we ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. A man was walking home alone one night when he heard a bump, bump, bump behind him. Walking faster, he looked back, making out an image of an upright coffin banging its way down the middle of the street towards him. Bump, bump, bump. And that would be kind of freaky, wouldn't it, to see a coffin following you? The man began to run toward his home, and the coffin bounced after him faster and faster. Bump, bump, bump. He ran up to his door, fumbled with his keys, opened the door, rushed in, and locked it behind him. The coffin crashed through his door, with the lid of the coffin clapping. Bump, bump, bump on the heels of the terrified man. The man rushed upstairs to the bathroom and locked himself in, heart pounding. With a crash, the coffin broke down the door, coming slowly toward him. The man, while screaming, reached for something, anything. All he could find was a box of cough drops, which he hurled at the coffin, and suddenly the coffin stops. Coughing.
Oh.
Wasn't that good? If you want any more of these, you can call into our office and listen to our on hold message, which is this month. I'm assuming it's Halloween jokes. So one more day of Halloween trivia, maybe today. So, well, I hope everyone enjoyed this special edition of Gaston's Great, our Halloween. First time we've done a Halloween episode, isn't it? Okay. So, appreciate anyone who's still listening, taking the time to listen to this. I'm very grateful for Lee and Hannah being our guests today, and the input, as always, from Naomi, and a little bit of input that we received from Amy behind the scenes there. So please share the episode and continue to share about our podcast. We are always looking to grow our listenership, and if you have any suggestions for future podcast guests, just let us know. Our email address here is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. And please follow and share on our social media platforms as well. So, hope you had as much fun as we did with this. We'll be back with another normal episode next week. So, happy Halloween, everyone.